So Mr. Juma is a management consultant whose expertise spans market research, private sector development, and project monitoring and evaluation. Currently, as the Executive Director of the Bureau of Market and Social Research, Mr. Juma has undertaken many commercial research projects for organizations such as CANCOM Ghana Limited, that's MTN, Millicom Ghana Limited, and that's Tigo, Samsung, and Diageo, that's Guinness Ghana Brewery Limited, NutriFoods Ghana Limited, UBA, Olam Ghana Limited, UNICEF, Blue Communications, and many more. He has also carried out socio-economic research assignments for many development agencies. Mr. Juma has also supervised and played major roles in a number of private sector development programs and has maintained a strong expertise in the area since 2009. In 2015, he developed a measurement framework for impact investing in Ghana for the Jimpa Center for impact investing. And while in 2014, it was one of a number of consultants who developed a financing model for WASH, that's WASH sector, for MSMEs in Ghana, for the Royal Netherlands Embassy in Ghana, as part of its broad intervention plan for the WASH sector in Ghana. And then in 2012, he was the lead consultant who undertook a knowledge, attitudes, and practices study for UNICEF along the ideated salt value chain. He maintains a strong academic interest in his areas of specialization and has taught a number of strategy and research models at both the Central University College and the University of Applied Management, that is the Accra campus. He is currently the examiner for the Market Research and Insights course of the Chartered Institute of Marketing, Ghana. Without much ado, I want us to welcome Mr. Isaac Juma to talk to us about today's topic, which is on how to start your company around research. It's very important that research is factored in decision-making in everything we do. And today we're focusing on how to start your company around research. And I think with the number of things I've read about him, I'm sure you all know that he's a top person in this sector, and he will be the best. He will be a great resource person for us today. So let's just quickly welcome him and let him take the stage to facilitate the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Olivia, and good afternoon to your audience. Of course, very delighted to be facilitating this session. This is an area I'm deeply interested in because, was it 2 years ago? Yes, I met a couple of people and I introduced myself as, chief executive of a market research company. And to my surprise, almost all the people didn't know that we have market research companies in Ghana, market research agencies in Ghana. And I also got the sense that very few people actually working commercial research or market research into their business. And this is 2021. So I'm like, wow, market research has been in Ghana for more than 3 decades. So how come a lot of people are not aware? It's an indictment on those of us who are leading the industry here. And because of that, in the past year especially, I have really gone to some extra efforts to take up some of these sessions to introduce the market research field to people. Within the past year, I've done work for SNV. They are an incubator. They're doing some great work for some of Ghana's SMEs, particularly in the renewable energy sector. I've done quite a bit of work. I've done similar presentations to the SMEs. And then also MEST. I'm sure most of you know MEST. They are tech focused. They're also an incubator, but they're also tech focused. And within the recent period, we've actually done some work for them. We've done a similar presentation to the SMEs. The idea is that this year in particular, we will be able to get quite a number of SMEs to understand that they need to build their businesses around research. It is the only way they can grow. In fact, one of the ironies that I've experienced over the 14 years of leading my research company is that the multinationals that actually have the muscle, the financial muscle, to push their brands through to consumers, through advertising, through retail channels, and so on and so forth. They are the ones who come to us for market research. Can you believe that? And then the smaller companies that do not have the financial muscle and need to get their products and value propositions right from get-go, they are the ones who are shooting in the dark, and not, using research as much as they should. So I hope that, let's say 5 minutes into the presentation, we'll have a lot more people joining. I can see only 19, well, probably 15 if I take out iSpace stuff. So let's hope that we have some more people joining in. Because of this, I would be a little bit slow in the first 10 minutes and hope that we can get some people to join. Now, I've been told that there are two groups of people listening in, well, aside guests. So you have the entrepreneurs and the owners of the SMEs coming in on the one hand, and then we have researchers who want to do commercial research, package research products, and sell to the SMEs. So that gives me a very interesting grouping for the audience. But what it means is that I need to walk a tightrope because the needs of the entrepreneurs with respect to this topic and the needs of the researchers would vary a little bit. So I would see how best I can bring a fine balance. But there's one thing that is clear. This is not a session to look at methodology, qualitative, quantitative methodology. This is a session that is meant to get businesses to understand the need for research, what research can bring to the table, how they can activate investments into their businesses with research. And if you're on the research side, this is a session that is going to help you look at the many ways in which you can commercialize research products for SMEs. Right, thank you very much. And I hope that that's a good introduction. So in terms of the outline for the presentation, I'm going to do a quick intro into market research. Once again, I need to do this because of the fact that quite a number of people who do not know that it's actually a whole industry globally and here in Ghana. Then two, I'll look at what I call research shapes strategy. Strategy shapes research and how that becomes the context for businesses that want to use research to power their growth. Then three, I'll talk quite a bit about how to use frameworks to guide your research. And then four, how to develop a research brief as a first start to doing the research. Five, we look at a few innovative methods in market research, especially those that small businesses can use and individual researchers can also use to provide value to their clients. And then we have 3 hours, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll leave quite a bit of time at the end for a question and answer session, because I want this to be as practical as possible. In fact, what I'll do is that every 20 minutes, I'll pause and draw you in to ask questions and all that. Olivia, you may need to help me here because I don't get to see the hands up, So if there's anybody who does not understand anything and wants clarification, let's do this in an engaging way. You don't need to wait for me to finish. Okay, so if I'm on a slide, I finish the slide and I answer your question right there and then, So let's just picture this as a lecture room session, face-to-face session, although it's online. All right. Olivia, can I confirm that everybody can hear me clearly? Can you confirm that you can hear me clearly?
I can hear you clearly, and
yeah.
If you can hear him clearly, you can maybe put a thumbs down, but I'm sure everybody can hear you clearly. But if you can't, please indicate with the thumbs down. Thumbs up means you can hear him clearly. Thank you, Daniel.
You're right. So we are good to go, right?
Yes, we're good to go.
Excellent. So let's do that introduction. So in the spirit of keeping this very practical, research is a technical field. You can't run away from the fact that it's a technical field, and you need to know a few technical things. You can't run away from that. But I'm going to try my best to keep this practical because of the audience we have for this presentation. So when we say market research, the research that powers businesses, question is, what does it involve? Who and what is it? Who and what is involved? Why do we do it? Okay. Now, this is my own definition. It's not a textbook definition. Hopefully, it covers for textbooks as well. But I see market research or marketing research as the planned design and execution of data collection and analysis about markets, organizations, ideas, and people. 4 things, very important things. And it's important we take note of this because sometimes somebody would say, oh, you know what, I run a small consulting business. I'm into image consulting. I handle the image of politicians. And, that is what I do. So I don't think that research is, no. Market research can also be done when your product is people. So if you are running a PR agency, for example, next year is going to be, election year. You're going to have a lot of image consultants coming up. You need research. Okay, organizations. And when we talk about organizations, there are no limits. In some markets, actually, what you learn is that even the churches do probably more research that a company here in Ghana would do. Churches, religious organizations, they try to understand their congregation. So there's really no limit in terms of who and what is involved. Of course, markets are involved. Of course, ideas are involved. Manifesto. You run a small business that is supposed to test or drive down the manifesto of a political party, for example. You can do research, market research. Okay. Now, why do we do it? This is where it's very important that especially the entrepreneurs are able to understand this. You do it because you want to create value, to identify and anticipate threats and opportunities, and to forecast, monitor, and measure performance. So all the words there have meaning. You understand? Anything that you do as a small business, the intention is to create value and to exchange value with a target group. Now, you need to be very clear that what you are submitting to the other person is really value in the person's eyes. And that is where research comes in. Okay? So you have to identify the needs of your target group. Now, it is very clear. COVID has taught us a lesson. It's very, very, very clear. Markets evolve, markets change. You may come into the market today with an idea. There's something that happens in the business environment, in the market with your target group, and then the dynamics of the market changes. The consumer's needs or the needs of your target group changes. So you need to engage in the continuous process of anticipating these changes. You can call them opportunities, you can call them threats. Okay, as a businessman, The idea is that you overcome the threats and you exploit the opportunities. And research is what you do to be able to do this, okay? So you want to be able to forecast your sales. You want to be able to monitor what is happening in the trade if you are somebody who is, trading. And then you want to measure your performance vis-a-vis your competitors, for example. So ultimately, the whole idea of market research and research for businesses is to improve your decision making. Okay. Maybe in a later session next time around, we'll look at a very interesting area called behavioral economics, that actually attempts to look at how we all make decisions. And it will shock you the number of 40 decisions that we make because of a few biases, what we call biases, So research is what removes the bias. If, for example, you are in your bedroom, you come up with an idea, even that emotional attachment to the idea blinds you to everything else, blinds you to threats, issues, challenges, and all that. It is research that actually, takes the skills off your eyes and exposes you to the reality. Now, if you're also, running the business with other people, research is what brings the objectivity, because one partner would want to go a particular way, another person would want to go a particular way. In fact, when you do not have research backing your business and you want investment, chances are that the investor would even take your business in a particular direction when you do not have objective data that everybody can use as a reference point. Okay, so in a nutshell, this is why we do it. But remember, at the very beginning, I said it's the planned design and execution of data collection and analysis. You can't just, even if you are the person who is going to do the research and you're going to do everything on your own, you cannot just get up and say you're doing research. There has to be a plan to it, okay? And later sections of the presentation would deal with how you should go about the process systematically. All right. So I'm minded that the audience, or at least half the audience for today's session, people representing small organizations or attempting to do research for small organizations. Now, the top 10 market research benefits for startups. Okay. Let me shift this a little bit to the type of research first, and then the benefit. So for a small business, it's so imperative that you get an appreciation of the industry. So what we call the industry outlook, okay? Now, there's things like COVID-19, you cannot predict them. But when you have what we call a black swan event like COVID-19, a one-time challenge to a business environment like COVID-19, there are ramifications and implications for at least the next 3 years, the next 5 years, the next 10, even sometimes the next 10 years. Okay. So you need to get a sense of that, especially when you're talking to investors. Okay. So for example, the economic environment, the demographic profile of the market, of the people in the market, technology uptake and adoption. These things have to be covered. However, the challenge that we have sometimes we see on the other side, there are times too when I have evaluated business pitches and all that. And the challenge that we see sometimes is that people who have come from MBA programs and degree programs, they do academic analysis. No. For a small business, you just need to understand what you're doing and focus your industry outlook to those things. If you take the economic environment, for example, if you're not trading across borders, if you're not doing significant imports, you do not do a whole write-up on the Forex situation. even if we all admit that the forex situation has implication for inflation and so on and so forth. The research focus should be on other things, you know, the inflation situation and all those things. So even the knack, you have to have the knack to appreciate what issues within the industry that you need to look at, okay? Of course, because of the nature of this presentation, we will not get into all those details. We will see how subsequent sessions would address some of these things in detail. But one of the things that you need to take out from this session is that, you know, if you're doing an industry outlook, which is very key benefits of market research for startups, you need to have a scope, okay? And it's not everything that you do. So yes, if you know about pest analysis, pestle analysis is good. It will shape, you know, it will give you a framework, but you need to make it focused. This advice also goes to those who will be doing research for the SMEs, okay? These days, there's information overload. So investors do not have so much time to look at a bulky research document. You need to focus the research. All right, I won't spend too much time on that. Market sizing. So it helps you, market research helps the small business to size up the market. There are many ways of doing this, okay? But bottom line is that if you're talking to partners, you're talking to investors, you know, about your business, you should be able to say, you know what, this business is you know, the category in which I am operating in is actually $2 million for Ghana. It's $4 million for Ghana. And it is spread across that. These are the top 5 players. Of the $2 million, the top 5 players are taking, let's say, $1 million. There's 1 million up for take amongst, you know, smaller brands, smaller businesses, etc., etc. So that is what one benefit you would get. Then, of course, market trends. Okay. So you see that all the things I'm mentioning so far on the left side have to do with the markets. The things we'll talk about on the right side have to do with the consumer. Now, with market trends, let me give you a typical example. So the rice market, let's say 2 years ago, there was so much talk about local rice and stuff like that. And because of some market forces that came to act on the industry, you have quite a number of people beginning to make a shift to local rice, okay? This being activated by the government or by, like I said, regulatory forces, etc., etc. It will be interesting to point these things out or to decipher these things from research. Competitor research. This is so important for small businesses because when you're a small business, money is everything. You don't have money to throw around, but then you can be bullied by competitors who have more muscle, financial muscle. So you need to have an understanding of the competitive landscape. I have a slide later on that talks quite a bit about this. Okay, so I'll not belabor the point. Then there's brand research, and then also understanding brand equity. So the benefit is that when you do the brand research, the benefit is that you understand the brand equity or the equity that the various brands in your markets have and how that potentially can impact on demand for your products, okay? Or when you flip it the other way, how you can use branding as a basis to get an advantage over even more established players in the industry. Then on the other side is the consumer bit. You need to do consumer usage, attitudes, preferences, and trends. Of course, in terms of benefit, that is the main thing because, like I keep saying, you need to be able to go to market having firmly established what is value to your target group. It is at the heart of everything. It's at the heart of your growth. It will be at the heart of your profitability and so on and so forth. You know, and not only do you identify it, but you must have a mechanism as I said in the previous instance, to continuously monitor or even to predict what the changes would be. Okay. Then we have customer satisfaction. You know, market research will help you understand, for example, if you're now coming into the market, you can still do a customer satisfaction study for your competitors. And the gaps that come up can become the basis for which you, make a proposition to the market. Okay. Depending on your resources, the customer satisfaction study can be distinguished from the consumer usage and attitude study, as I've mentioned previously. If you don't have the resources, the two can be put together. Pricing research, for a lot of small businesses, usually the way you make an incursion into the market is through competitive pricing, okay? Or what the marketers will call penetration pricing, but you need to do some research. For those of us who actually do market research as a business, we have very complex methodologies, that we are able to use to advise companies on pricing. Okay. Then distribution research. You want to understand the distribution system. Now we have online, offline. You want to understand that for the particular segments that you want to reach, whether online is a viable, sizable opportunity, and so on and so forth. Sometimes even distribution research, what we call retail audits, can be used as a basis for identifying your market size. Okay, so if you talk to a large chunk of retailers, you collect actual data of products on the shelves, etc., etc. It can be used as a proxy for estimating the market size, where the market size data is not available from elsewhere. So you see, in other markets, this is a challenge you're going to face, as a small business. In other markets, the government has a way of making sure, like, for example, if you take alcoholic beverage businesses, they all need to report their production to a particular agency, regulatory agency. So the data is there. You understand? The data is there for anybody to assess or analyze the market size of the various players. In Ghana, we don't have that. The FDA, because of the work that it does for the product category, can actually require businesses, production companies, to report their production distance so that they can use that as a basis to do the quality assurance. But the FDA doesn't have it. Doesn't have this data. Doesn't know, for example, how much Guinness is producing every month, how much Casapreco is producing every month, and so on and so forth. So that data is not available from official sources. But distribution research, when you do research with the people who sell the products, you can get a sense of the market size of the competitors. And then if you're already in the market, it can also give you a sense of, your volumes being sold as well. Then, of course, a very important benefit, it gets, you have an opportunity using market research to, understand, the experience of the consumers when they use your product. These days, there are quite a number of people getting into tech products. There's EdTech, there's AgTech, AgriTech, there's, and so on and so on. So when you have an app or a website or whatever, you want to get a sense of whether people have good experiences when they use these platforms as your channel. Okay, so for me, I know I can go on and on and on, and these market research types can be broken further into different, but for me, based on my experience and all that, this is enough, as a starting point. Okay, all right, let me pause here. I see that quite a number of people have joined now. We are 26. Do we have any questions at this stage? Olivia, please help me out.
If you have a question, kindly raise up your hands and I would call you to ask your question.
Okay, that's fine. Let's move on.
Sure.
Or there's somebody. Okay, let's go. So I talked about research for smaller companies. This is research for bigger organizations. And as you can see, they're doing quite a bit. Almost all the things I've listed here are things we've done for my company, Bureau of Market and Social Research, has done for some of the multinationals in Ghana, you know, concept testing. So even there are products in the market right now that you'll be taking. They came to us to test with consumers before they put those products out. In fact, let me share a story at this point. Yeah. So 6 years ago, we had the clients that was into biscuits, manufacturing of biscuits in Ghana. Okay. So they had quite a number of products already in the market. And then what it is that because they're a multinational company, because they're a multinational company, they also have some of their markets elsewhere. So sometimes when they come up with, you know, innovative products in other markets, there's a temptation to just, you know, bring them to the Ghana market, the West African market, and so on, and see if those products would work. It's just the same way a small business would start something in Accra and think that straight up it would work in Kumasi or work in Takoradi, or, you know. So that was it. They came up with this onion cracker biscuit. Okay. And they felt like because it was doing well in other markets, you know, it should do well in Ghana. Now, at some point prior to launching the product, somebody in the marketing department said, you know what, let's go do research first, you know, what we call product test. But in reality, we call it consumer sensory evaluation. That's the more technical name for it. You know, let's take this product to a research company. Let them do a consumer sensory evaluation, or what we also call a product test. So basically, for 3 regions, I think at the time we did 3 regions. We did Accra, we did Kumasi, we did Takoradi. We bring consumers to a central location. Then we let them taste the biscuits. And then we have a questionnaire, a quantitative questionnaire that we administer after they have taken the biscuit. And that quantitative questionnaire measures their satisfaction with the product along a number of parameters: taste, flavor, saltiness, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, can anyone guess what the outcome of that study was? We did 100 consumers in Accra, 100 in Kumasi, and I think 100 in Takoradi. You know, I'll tell you what the result was. There was over 90% rejection of the biscuit. I know some of you don't understand tree, but let me use the feedback, the exact feedback that came from the consumers, and then I'll translate. Hey, na biscuits be na mode garlic aye. Media sentiment good for me. That was the feedback we got. So basically, what happens is that if you bake onions to a certain level, the taste and the smell is a little bit like garlic. And the average Ghanaian is averse to the smell of garlic. In Asian markets, for example, they're very open to garlic, you know. So if you have this product there and it's doing well, the temptation is that you say, oh, let me take it to another market. but that market may be averse to some of the sensory elements of the product. So for the first time ever, in our history doing consumer sensory tests, up until that time, we had done quite a lot. And that was the first time we had 90% rejection of the listen. So even the client realized that this was a no-go and they didn't launch the product. Now, just imagine if they hadn't done the test and had gone ahead to set up the batch, because, to be able to produce a batch of any type of whatever, you need to have the lines created. And that is a lot of capital expenditure, So this is a multinational, but just imagine how this can be for a small business. Last year, I remember doing work for SMV. I visited some of the small businesses. Some were attempting to do Hausa cocoa and whatever, and this is the question that I asked them. When you come out with the products, do you get consumers to come by to taste them? Because the spiciness may differ. And even though you have quite a number of people who say, oh, they like your product, you are not able to tell whether those people make up the sizable chunk of your target market. But a consumer sensory evaluation or a product test would actually put you in the right place, So product testing, user experience studies, price sensitivity, optimal pricing, audience measurement, because obviously the big companies spend a lot more on advertising, so they want to understand their audience and so on and so forth. Okay, so the idea is that as you grow, as you become a bigger organization, the number of things that you would want to do your research on should grow as well. Basically, that is what this slide is saying, that as you grow, the range of things you do on the research side should grow and should expand as well. I think I can see comments in there. Listen now, let me. Oh, okay. Some of you were answering. Yes. So Alfred says, should it always be the case that someone starts a research in order to discover some form of innovation, or one can leverage on secondary information? Yes, I'll come to that. Sometimes you definitely get quite a bit of insights from secondary data, but you need to be careful, because you see, having conceptualized the innovation, having actually come up with it, you still need to test the parameters of that innovation with the consumers. Okay, so secondary or desk research is a good starting point, but it should not be the end point. Now, so context. Context is very important when you're trying to do research, market research. So let's look at a few things. So for a lot of novice researchers, sometimes the tendency is to begin to do research just by, putting out research questions and all that. But you need to start by doing a little bit of analysis of your market, where you are in the market, and so on and so forth. One of the things that I consider very important in framing your research context is what I call the product life cycle. You need to determine where you are with the product life cycle, because where you are would also inform the type of research and the scope of work for the research. Okay. All right. So at the introduction stage, remember, you need to grow your customer base, you need to do brand building, you need to do pricing and distribution. So those things would guide the scope of work in terms of your research. At the growth stage, you want to gain profits, you want to grow demand for products, you are looking at your first competitors. If what you took to the market was innovative, then you'll be looking at your first competitors around that distance. So competitor research would be very, very critical at this stage. Maturity means you are picking Okay. For those of you who are not marketers, let me explain a little concept in marketing called market development. Okay. So market development is where you have a product that you want to sort of shape, existing product that you want to shape for a new market, people who were not previously consuming that product and getting them to consume it. When you are hitting maturity for your product, it is something that you may want to consider, okay? Market development. So your research, especially consumer usage and attitude research, should help you identify new market segments that you can target, okay? So if, for example, you're writing the brief for your research, either for someone to do it for you or to do it yourself, one of the things that you need to look at as context for your research brief is where you are in the product life cycle. Competitive forces. I mentioned this earlier that for small businesses, competitive forces can really undo you, okay? One of the things that I've also realized is that dealing with small businesses, that they are not able to conceptualize what is competition properly, okay? Now, when you're developing a product, in terms of competition, you first need to describe what your category is, then what your segment is, and then what the product type is within the segment. Okay, so I have put here a number of examples. Okay, so if, for example, you're doing crackers, you've come out with a local cracker biscuits, there's a tendency to see your competition as only other crackers. Now that will be a mistake, because you see, if we have the kind of environment that we have now, kind of economic environment that we have now, what happens is that, you know, consumers who would have in the past held on loyally, you know, to a particular product type, begin to look for alternatives that are cheaper. So they move into the segment, in this particular case, biscuits. Now the cracker that I used to buy 10 cedis is now 20 cedis. I can't buy it anymore. Which other biscuit can I buy? So then they go and buy, you know, something else within the biscuit segment, okay? And then even within the biscuit segment, you can have people who say, you know what, these days I don't even want to take them. Let me see if I can get another snack that is filling. So, you know, the guy who used to buy your biscuits, you know, diligently in the past, now would meet, what do you call it? These fan milk vendors will buy the yogurt, and then will buy the meat pie that comes with it. And the money, the discretionary income that should have come into purchasing your product now goes to another snack, meat pie. You see how it works. So if right from the conceptualization stage, you know, when you're conceptualizing your product, your business and all that, you narrow the scope of competition or the industry or market you are playing in too much, then you have a situation where at some point your product is not doing well, and you do not understand that it is not because the money has shrunk necessarily, but it has moved on to alternatives within your category. Okay, so as you can see, in fact, I'm going to even pause here. Those of you who are running businesses, let's use this as a lesson to find a competition for your business, okay? So that this is very interactive. So if you take, for example, carbonated drinks, it comes under the segment called non-alcoholic beverages. Then non-alcoholic beverages also comes under the category called beverages. For those of you who are researchers and who do research for SMEs and so on and so forth, this is also something that you need to take note of. So for example, if this particular category, the beverages category, is one that is driven by imports, okay? don't go and say that, don't go and look at carbonated drinks, what do you call it? Imports figure and say, oh, in Ghana, we imported only, what do you call it? $1 million of drinks because we are focused only on carbonated drinks. If you were looking at beverages in general, then you see that the market is actually, let's say, $5 million. Okay. And the strategy would be that apart from, getting people who like carbonated drinks to, you do what we call penetration strategy and market development, blah, 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 and all that, and get more people from the entire beverage category to consume more of your carbonated drinks. That is how you grow your volumes. That is how you grow your revenues, and then you grow your profits. So the way you categorize the market you are in is very important. So more examples, skimmed milk comes under evaporated milk comes under dairy. But when you are pulling trade statistics, this can be a guide. Toffees, type of candy, candies also come under confectionaries, okay? All right, so let me come to, Olivia, help me here. For those who are on here who are running businesses, you can mention your business, and then we will take it up from there. We'll see how best to categorize the market that you are in.
Okay, so we have a couple of businesses here. Actually, we have some incubators, such as EcoPest, the winning team, and we also have Maldima. Maldima hopes to start a tour company. It's called Prime Tour. Maldima, do you have any questions?
A tour company, right?
Yes, it's a tour company. So you can talk about it. You can just unmute yourself and talk about your company, and then we can look at that and try to analyze it.
What's the name of the owner?
The name is Maldima.
Oh, okay.
Or
and he's on here?
He's actually on the call.
Okay.
I don't know whether he's having problems with his mic.
Okay.
Okay. And also, we also have Helen. Helen here is also with Raypad. So Raypad produces easily biodegradable menstrual pads and affordable pads for ladies. So Helen could also unmute herself and talk about the business, and we can use that as a case study.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. Sorry, it's Helen, right?
Yeah, Helen.
Okay, so Helen, when I ask you, or if I ask you what category your products are in, what would you say?
Depending on the examples you've given here.
Like using it as a guide.
As a guide?
Yes.
I think that one will be under the segments. The reason being that it's you see, we have pads already that the females are using, right? But we are rather looking at the cost effective of or the prices of pad now, and the less privileged people finding difficult to get it. So we are rather coming in to make life easier for them by doing
you know what, let's do it this way. What would you say is the category for your products?
If I look at your example there, I don't know where I'll put myself for. Because I'm seeing beverages.
Would you put it under category, or would you put it under segment?
I think segment. Segment would do for us.
So the description that Olivia gave was degradable pad, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But in reality,
pad.
Oh, sorry, reusable or degradable? Which one?
It's reusable parts.
Reusable, okay. But it's sanitary parts, isn't it?
Yes, please.
Okay, so let's say the reusable parts is very specific. It's at the very end of the description, so we can put it as a type, isn't it?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Right?
Yes, please.
Okay, so the sanitary part, would you call it a segment or a category?
I'll call it segments.
You put it under segment. Very good. Okay, then what will be the category?
Using the examples you've given.
Oh, not necessarily. Not necessarily. I mean, like, but being guided by the examples I've given, yeah. So would you call it female hygiene products? Would you call the category female hygiene products?
Yes, yes.
Okay, why would you call it female hygiene products?
It's because we've put some hygienic procedures in place for the people that will use it, so that they will not be affected or get infections at the end of the day.
Okay, so this is how it works. When we put reusable pad as the type, okay, then we had sanitary pads as the segment, okay. The idea is that if you have a competitor who is currently in the sanitary pads segment, okay, but is not doing reusable pads, there is a potential that that person or that company doing the normal regular type of sanitary pad can begin to do, having established a retail network, having established, can begin to do reusable parts, isn't it?
Reusable ones, yes, yes.
Excellent. So it's the same way that somebody within the category, the bigger category, can what? Now come into the segments. That is the thinking.
Okay.
You know,
I get it.
It is helping us look at the competitive pressures from the industry. So, for example, if you define the category as female hygiene products, it is very possible that somebody would come up with a women's undies, okay, disposable women and women's undies, not sanitary pads. Disposable undies that have the pads maybe already stuck on it or whatever. When you're done, you dispose of it, and you know that person is within the category of female hygiene products. You understand? And it's now incorporating a certain proposition that you are interested in, which is the sanitary pads. You understand? So the challenge here is that if you had come into the market only seeing those who are doing reusable, pads as your competition, it takes only a year or two for a bigger competitive player to come and take the market away from you. Sorry, go on. Yes. I want this to be interactive, so go on.
No, I was supporting what she said.
Oh, okay. Have you seen a bit of that?
Yes. I now understand the lane that we are playing. So because we are rather coming into the market and they are there, they even have a bigger picture. They can easily take our idea and just inculcate it, and it's out there for them because they even have the equipment and the machineries to do that. But if like they are also doing or let's say restarted the reusable pad, and they are not even into sanitary pads and they are coming in, that one we have upper hand. Because they can't just come and pick the whole idea from us. If I understand what you're saying, that is what you use to break these things down, right? To get to know whether you're under the category, segments, or types, right?
Yes. It's one way of looking at it. Of course, there's another way of looking at it. You know, somebody says the best form of defense is attack. So
Yes.
knowing very well that there is a segment ahead of you, there is a category ahead of you, you can show to your investors in your business plan that because you do not want to be overtaken by the competition, you have actually carved maybe a 3-year plan where your reusable pad, you know, you sort of like, you know, building other propositions and all that, so that you sort of take on all the propositions within the sanitary pad segments, okay? Then you also say that, let's say 2 years from now or 3 years from now, you want to look at, you know, either your product is being sold in conjunction with other female hygiene products and so on and so forth, so that the consumers who are loyal, who have become loyal to your brand, are not forced to move on to a competitor. You see what I mean?
Yes.
So
Yes.
it can become the basis for building your portfolio, what we call your portfolio of new products. Okay.
Yes,
I don't want to get too technical on this, because I really don't know the expertise of the people joining, you know. But we have what we call organic differentiation. Like, you know, when you are expanding your business and you do the same thing within the category, we say that you are growing organically. The product development is organic. Okay. So this is where the usefulness of the proper categorization of the segment types and whatever really helps. You know, there's something that we call a strategy, business strategy, we call backward integration or forward integration. Okay. If you are not selling directly to consumers and you are giving your product to a bigger player, who then also sells this, there are chances that that bigger player would say, you know what, instead of we getting the supply from this small business, let's start producing that particular thing ourselves. Helen, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm getting what you're saying.
Yes, and then there are people too who would be selling your product for you, and then over time they're like, you know what, we can get more margins if we begin to produce this. This product is so popular. We can get more margins if we begin to produce this ourselves, okay? Or if we find somebody outside of Ghana to do it for us, and then we put our brand name on it. Did you see at some point that this ShopRite began to put its brand name on some of the products that they were selling? Did you see?
Maybe I didn't pay attention.
Were you visiting ShopRite at any point?
Not really.
Okay. So, you know, we had a bit of that where, you know, like sugar, whatever, you see that now the retail outlet is beginning to put their brands
brands on it. Okay.
Yes, ShopRite on the products. For small businesses, that can be a killer. After you use ShopRite as a way of reaching out to the consumers, and then ShopRite realize that what you are bringing to them, is profitable, then they decide to sell the same thing. You know, so you must have all these things at the back of your mind, you know, in terms of research. Okay. And once you see that your market is competitive like that, there are tricks and strategies. For example, you need to start working on the brand. Okay. The brand can become so strong that even if competition begins to surge, retailers are being funny and so on and so forth, you don't go down. Okay. There's this, I don't know whether you know the cosmetics industry very well. There's this player in the cosmetics industry called Naya. Have you heard of them?
Yes, please.
So they started off as a small company producing basic cosmetic products and stuff like that, they really worked hard on their branding. So
yeah.
Yes. So even now that we have so many people getting into their product category, you realize that they are not going down. You see what I mean? The brand is now what is holding them up. Please, do you get it?
Yes, but I have a question. Like,
okay, go ahead.
Will you advise that since we are startups, like we don't really have the money, especially with our own web, we need some machineries to start production. Will you also advise that if we have a very strong competitive market, we should rather partner with them if they will agree to partner with them, then we can produce or run the business to a certain point, then step down. Do you buy into that, or you feel like we can do on our own too? We should use these strategies to get to where we want to be. Do you buy into partnership, or like you don't?
But when you say partnership, with who exactly? Sorry.
With like some of the competitors that already have the markets, like their names are already there. We don't have the machineries to do the production, right? So we partner with them as the production team, then still have our brand, everything going, but they part of the whole business.
It's tricky. It's tricky. If you start your business, you get your trademark, you have whatever, the intellectual property registered and all that, you may want to try that approach. More or less, the competitor being an investor, okay, in your business. The challenge I've seen with the local market is that these things don't usually go quite well. There are instances where you even pitch to someone who is not even in your industry, and the next thing you see, that person is going on, is trying to do, So if you have the legal bit locked in, patents and so on and so forth locked in, why not? You could do that, but you really need to do your homework about the ethical standing of that particular person. Okay, because half the time the best route is to go your own way, and if you do the research, you come up with a solid business plan. You can go look for proper investors. You see what I mean? Not your competitor.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Any more? Okay, I'll move on. So still linked to that session we did earlier is looking at the competitive forces. And my point here is think out of the box. When it comes to what can be competition for you, think out of the box. Ask yourself, what is the risk that a supplier will grow and compete with me? How easy is it for new people to come into this market? Okay. What is the bargaining power of middle or the final buyers? Are there ready substitutes for this product? In fact, I mean, the work that I did for SMV recently, it was one of the things that came up, sometimes you say you want to do something and, another product that is not necessarily within like the same type as I've described earlier, but within the segment or even within the category, a sort of like an alternative, becomes very strong competition for you. You need to check this, or you need to be able to anticipate this. And this is where I keep saying that research helps, because sometimes even the consumers will be able to tell you, like in focus group discussions, or, if you do what in our industry called consumer immersions, use a food product, you can go to the home of the consumer and say, you know what, I want you to cook this meal. And when the person is cooking the meal, you are asking your research questions. Okay, would you have used this product instead of these ingredients? Would you have done this instead of, and then the consumer will give you all this feedback. That's very cheap research that any business owner can do. In fact, the irony is that the big companies do that a lot. They like to immerse themselves in the environment of their consumers, or to do the research when the consumers are consuming the product. We have clients in, for example, the beverage industry. They will say, well, can you arrange to take us to, let's say, a pub, get 5 consumers to come there. And while they are consuming an alcoholic drink or whatever, they ask them the question, because it is there that you get the real insights, because the consumers are engaged in what we call a consumption moment, if you see what I mean. All right. So the title for this section was Research Shapes Strategy. Strategy shapes, research. Sometimes when you look at the dynamics of your market, it becomes clear the direction that you need to go. And you need to use research to be able to activate that direction, okay? So when you want to come up with a new product for an existing market, okay? So let's say you're already doing cosmetics for a female target group, okay? But you want to bring another type of cosmetic product that you are not currently. Let's say you are doing soap, and then you want to bring in a lotion, okay? That is a new product for an existing market. The same people that you are currently selling the soap to, you want to be able to sell the lotion to them as well, okay? Here it is research that will help you determine whether that particular product proposition would work with the existing market that you have, all right? Then market penetration, what we call market penetration strategy. That is where you have your existing products, your existing market, but your revenue is beginning to peak and you want to be able to make more money. You understand? Because of course, when you make more money, then you make more profits. All right, so you have to do research that will show you whether you are exploiting all the consumption moments available amongst your target group. Let me break it down. Sorry. So you see this tiger nuts. Now there's a lot of tiger nuts products on the market. Tiger nuts drink, typical of Ghanaian businesses. People are just positioning it on a few things. You see a lot of people put, oh, this is a good aphrodisiac, okay? But in reality, that drink and the minerals in there can be a daily energy booster. If you're someone who goes to the gym, does exercises, it can be something that replenishes, lost nutrients. You understand? So when the business owner, the small business owner, is positioning it, because everybody is talking about aphrodisiac, they're also positioning it as aphrodisiac, you are limiting the number of times the consumer would consume your product. Okay? So if, let's say, a man, for example, thinks that he's okay, he is okay, he doesn't need any medicine, then the chances are that he will take your product once every month, once every week, once every 2 weeks. But if you position it as a daily energy booster that replenishes magnesium, this and that and that and that, then that same consumer who was originally taking it once a week, once a month, begins to take it, every day. And that is where your revenue goes up. So that is what we mean by market penetration strategy. At some point, you need to find innovative ways of getting the people who are already buying your product to consume it at different times, or to consume it more frequently. Or when they make a purchase, instead of buying a small pack, they'll buy a bigger pack at a higher price. Good. All right. So then we also have a new, an existing product that is, carved for a new market. Okay. At some point, I was very surprised the number of, older people who are now taking Cerelac. Can I see on the call all the adults who take Cerelac these days? Can I see?
If you take
Which
Cerelac,
one?
you can just give a thumbs up. Cerelac is still nice. Doesn't matter its age.
Which one is smiling? So I have a feeling he's taking it. Maldiva, you two, you take it, huh? Okay, good. So you see, originally they had the what's it called? The babies and the young ones in mind. When you do consumer research, especially at the household level, and then you ask, who is consuming, then you get that feedback. Oh, wow. Okay, so we have adults in, 40% of the adults in the households that are buying Cerelac are also taking the Cerelac. Wow. Then you do a little proposition, you still maintain the Cerelac, you do a little proposition around it. And then you are able to reach, a new market with an existing product. Okay, so here too, this is how research can help you. All right. Sorry, this slide looks a little bit too much. I'll see how I can, when I share this with you, I'll make sure it doesn't look too complex, But we're talking about frameworks. For most of you, yes, research may not be your thing, something that you do on the regular. Some of you may not have done business degrees and so on and so forth. But it helps. This is actually more for the researchers who are on this call and who will be helping the businesses. It helps that you have frameworks that guide the development of especially what we call primary research. We've already talked about secondary research, which is going on onto the internet, using company records to do initial analysis. Primary research is when you begin to go out to collect data, okay? You collect your own data for analysis. And the point I'm making here is that when you have a framework that guides you, it really enables you to do end-to-end research, holistic research. You don't leave any gaps in especially the design of your questionnaire. Otherwise, when you are done, if you're an entrepreneur, you're done and you're pitching to an investor, let's say somebody like me, who is a little bit more experienced, who knows quite a bit when it comes to business strategy, will see a number of holes in the research that you have done. It will not look complete. It will ask you questions that you will not be able to answer. So it helps to identify frameworks that would really make you. And one of them is what we call the consumer journey. You will hear it a lot in market research. These days, you hear it a lot amongst businesses. When you are doing a pitch, everybody would ask you, consumer journey. When you do your business canvas, it's one of the things that should appear somewhere there, or your business plan. All right. So basically what it says, or what it means, here we have just used an example of a small fintech business, so basically the consumers have a need that you want to satisfy, okay? So the identification of that consumer need, that is where product development will come in. Then when the consumers have a need, they go looking for more information, okay? So when you're doing the research, you also need to check, where are they going for more information? Are they going to online resources? Are they asking, do they, for example, go and do window shopping and ask the sales attendants, and then when they begin to ask for information, they will get data, they will get information that would allow them to compare alternatives, okay? So it may be yours and others that they get information on. But here, this is where your research should be able to determine which other alternatives come up when they do the information search. And then you use marketing communications to address that. Okay. Now, when they do the comparison, now they are in a position to make a purchase. Okay. And at the point where they are making the purchase, who are the influencers of that purchase decision? Sometimes it could even be your salespeople who influence the process. Sometimes it could be your website. It could be something on your website. It could be a discount offered at the outlets, and so on and so forth. Research is what will tell you what is driving the purchase. And then after the purchase, they begin a process of evaluating what they have bought from you, okay? And here too, you want to get a sense of the satisfaction or dissatisfaction after they bought it and after they begin to use the product or service. And in all these things, research can actually help us get the information, and then we develop the appropriate strategy in response to what we find out. All right. I see that there are a few. Oh, okay. This was in response to the earlier one. Now, another framework, and this is also at the heart of small business, management and entrepreneurship. Sometimes the challenge is that we do not see what we are taking to the market as a full value proposition. It's just, if you ask somebody to describe the product, they describe it in a very limited way. But really, there are actually three layers to the products or the value propositions that we send to the target group. One is the core benefits. The next level is the actual product, which sometimes would be like the regular product matches what the competition is offering. Then there is what we call the augmented products, which is all the things that you're putting on there to differentiate your proposition from that of the competition. Okay? Now, it is important to use research to identify a few things. So the core benefit, for example, it's something that should come spontaneously from the consumer. Yes, maybe you got up in the morning and an idea hits you. This idea is fantastic. For you as one consumer, it seems like a great idea. But you need to do focus groups, qualitative research, whatever, and see if this is a need that actually pervades, across. And then in what form? In what form is the need or the benefits that the consumers are looking for? Okay. Then you move on to the next level. Here, the brand name, the features, the quality level, the design, the packaging, a bit of it will come from you, but a bit of it too should come spontaneously from the consumer. The bits that are coming from you, you need to test them. Okay. So just last week, I was at Unimark. They were doing a business pitch, events. Okay, and they asked me to be a judge. Okay, and the issue of brand names, for example, came up. I think there was one group of students who had come up with a name called Nuvivi. The airways here may probably know the meaning better. Nuvivi. And as that, I was like, oh, this is great, However, when you are doing product development in a multilingual, multicultural context, the decision to go with a particular brand name couched around just one ethnic group or whatever you need to do it with a lot of, care, a lot of, you need to be diligent about that decision, okay? Because it can go in different directions. My recommendation to the team is that when you have something like that, your product is inspired by something very traditional or ethnic, you can take that name and then couch a different name from that original Akan word, Ga word, Ewe word, or whatever. So Nuvivi can just be Nuvi, and then you sort of like patent that name. Because nobody will be using it. It's something that you have created for yourself. You see what I mean? And then you can test that with consumers. Okay, in terms of patenting, in terms of being able to hold on to that name without other people using it and all that, you have that advantage. Okay, and then of course the other advantage is that because there isn't a direct meaning that can be attributed to the brand name, it also saves you from a lot of problems. The story is told of a car company that launched in Spain. It had launched in other markets under the name Nova. Now, when they launched in Spain, nobody told them, they didn't do the research. So they didn't find out that in Spain, Nova means no go. Okay. In fact, the story has been a bit altered over the years, but it's just really to give an example to business owners. Nova means no go. So if you take that lesson to another market with that meaning, chances are that it's a car and you're saying that no go. So clearly there will be an impact on your sales and so on. Likewise, even in the same markets, something that everybody is okay with, you take it to another place and then, people have a different perception about it. So sometimes even a test of the brand name is very necessary. All right, I'll not spend too much time on this, but bottom line is that as you add layers onto the product, that, like for example, the augmented product, you have the after sales service, warranty, whatever, then you have to start now doing a quantitative research, okay? Because at this point, you are sort of like concretizing the final proposition. So you want to get a sense of the size of the target market, the people within your target market who would buy that very final product. And that is why as you move towards, wrapping up your full product, you have to consider more quantitative research, because at that point, you're looking to size up the markets for the products. All right, good. Let's pause here and take a few questions.
Okay, so this is an avenue to ask questions. I don't think we get access to people with such vast experience and knowledge every time. So if you're starting a business, and I'm sure most of us here are thinking of either starting a business or thinking of how we can inculcate research into whatever we already have ongoing. So if you have any questions, I'll be very happy to give you the opportunity to ask them, or as I said, you could still write them down and ask the questions you have. I saw a couple of names. I saw Adam Mohammed from Farm Wallet Limited. Looks like an interesting organization. You can unmute yourself if you have questions. And I'm seeing Startups Campus.
Olivia, can I ask right now?
Yes, please do.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Isaac. This is Daniel. I saw
yes, Daniel.
That was a very interesting presentation, eye-opening. I have been in research in the area of theory, I've not gone practical. And so listening to you, and also dealing with startups and SMEs, that most of them start and struggle a lot because, sometimes they just they get an idea and they rush, and then they don't have any information, market information. They rush and start it, and then things start revealing, and it's too late. And then problem comes, and then they have to fold up, and that is very unfortunate. So it's a very interesting thing to listen and to know that, we've been together. I know you do a lot of consulting, but I didn't know that you go to this tangent, and the way you've presented. I think we will have a lot to discuss after the call. But just a question here.
Okay.
How expensive is it to conduct a research for a young business that is about to start? How expensive will it be?
So
I know it will depend on a lot of factors, but average.
Yeah, that is the mistake that most of them are doing. It is not expensive at all. For example, very soon we are going to do this consumer test that I talked about. We are going to do it for a big player. They are a bigger company in the laundry markets. Okay, and instead of just coming up with the soap or whatever, and just saying that we use brand name and whatever to push the product to consumers, they are coming to a research company to test whether the consumers like the color of the soap, when the consumers would actually wash items of clothing with the soap, how the soap lathers, do they like it? So they are not rushing. And the thing is, for simple consumer evaluation studies like this, sometimes it's depending on the the target market. We're looking at very little, 5,000 to 10,000 cedis. Like you said, there's a whole lot of things that come into play. I'm not saying that it will always be as low as 5,000 cedis, no. But half the time when they come to us and then we give them the quote, they're like, oh, I thought it would be more expensive than this. Oh, then I should have come earlier. You see what I mean? Within the past 2 years, for example, we've done, for small businesses, we've done somebody who wants to get into the technology market. So did a user consumer usage and attitude study. The person was very shocked at the price, thought that it would have been more expensive. We have a lot of companies coming to us on the tech side, because I think a lot of companies realize that with the tech products, if you go and you don't do your research, especially user experience research, so they come and they're like, oh, okay, we didn't know that it would be this affordable. Now, one of the reasons why we are doing this presentation, I see that there are researchers on there. I don't see those researchers as competition at all. I'm very okay with sharing what insights I have here and even more with these people, because I know very well that they will be able to do more affordable research for the SMEs as individual researchers. Over time, when the SMEs see the results that they are getting from the research, they will now want to do bigger research, and they will come to, of course, the bigger players like ourselves and all that. So for us as a business, we even want to grow a group of research champions, people like yourself, Daniel, who will be doing small, if for people like you need any ideas on methodology and all that, we will support you at no expense at all. Now, with SMV and then MEST, the projects that we did, SMV actually funded the research for the incubatees or the SMEs under them. MEST has also done the same. And throughout, the idea is that when we do the research for them, and then they use it and they see growth, they will become research-driven subsequently, and we would all benefit. So if there are SMEs on this call, I'm telling you that it is not as expensive as you think. Just reach out to us. You know, some of the projects can be as cheap as 5,000 cedis, you know, and yet you can get a lot of insights. Of course, when it comes to even secondary research, the way we would do it will be a little bit different from if you're trying to do it yourself. And secondary research is not expensive at all. Okay. So, Danny, does that answer your question?
Very, very much. So
Very
there is
good.
something I've been meaning to do. So after here we'll discuss.
Yes, let's
then,
take it up after the call. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Especially up north, I think they don't get the support that they should be getting in terms of technical analysis. So we can work together and have the businesses really, you know, adopt to research, commercial research as a way of, you know, powering their decision making.
Thank you.
Okay.
Also on the message board, someone is saying they want to get the slide. If they want to know if they can get the slide.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll do that.
But you can also ask questions right now. You know, the slides might be self-explanatory, but sometimes there are deeper questions.
They are generic. So if you are here and you have a specific case, in fact, Olivia, I wanted to ask you, in terms of what you guys are doing on a day-to-day basis, what are some of the issues that have come up with the SMEs and the entrepreneurs that you're working with? What are some of the things that have come up?
Okay. So I think one of the things that have come up is the tendency of starting businesses depending on the season. So say it's a raining season and there's a lot of tomatoes. So you do that business, and the moment the season is over, the source of tomato goes down, the business dies. So it's one of the issues that we've noticed a lot. So we always, you know, how are they going to create, you know, a system that will actually be, that it can maintain over time? Is it the tomato? How are you going to, you know, maintain your product so that even in and out of the tomato season, you can still have something to sell? It's one of the issues that we experience. What's your take on that?
I mean, yes, definitely. I mean, if you are pitching your business on a season, I mean, that can be very tricky. Even if you're not looking for investment and it's your own thing. For me, it's very tricky, especially if you are having to get a few equipment or doing some capital expenditure towards it. You know, a business is a going concern. That is the first thing you get taught, you know, as a businessman. You know, you have a going concern. So you can't have your revenue over, let's say, a 1 year period. You can't have your revenue coming in over 2 months or so, you know. So value chain, straight away, I see how for people like that, getting them to understand value chain issues, using the value chain to expand the number of months or increase the number of months that they can get their revenue, and so on and so forth. You know, so let's say in the season you buy a lot of the tomatoes, you know, are you going to process it? Because if you process it into something else, chances are that that particular final product would have a shelf life of, let's say, a year or two, and so on and so forth. So then selling that product over a period, over a longer period, then brings you more money than you just selling the raw product, you know. So yeah, here too, research really comes to play.
I think they're actually businesses here. So I think this is a very good opportunity. Some of them were actually part of the RIC process.
Okay.
That's actually why I'm really, you know, I'm really excited. I think others should.
Yes, I can see maybe some people are camera shy, so they can type their questions in the chat this, and then we would address it. All right, but while we wait for that, let me go on with the remainder of the presentation. Okay, so one of the things that a lot of novice researchers do And then you also don't have to do, if you're an entrepreneur attempting to do some research for your business, is just do a scattergun, what I call a scattergun approach. You know, even if you are the one who is going to do the research from end to end, have what we call a research brief and let that guide the research that you do. Remember, at the very beginning, when I defined market research, I explained that it has to be a systematic process, and the data collection, whatever, is guided accordingly. It's not something that you do erratically. Okay. All right. So these are some of the questions for small businesses, especially. These are some of the questions that I advise them to look at. Okay. And these questions can then feed into your what's it called? Your research brief. Okay. Where are we in the product life cycle? We've talked about this already. Where are we in the market life cycle? The market life cycle is different from a product life cycle. Okay, so if you have somebody supporting you, like for example, Daniel is a consultant, they would look at some of these more technical issues for you. Okay, where are we in the technology life cycle? You know, what is the nature of competition within the markets? How fast do consumer needs or tastes change within this market? This is a very important point for small businesses. Okay, because like I keep saying, when you do not have the financial muscle, you don't even want a situation where, having gone to do research, gotten the insights about consumer needs, and then 1 year down the road, because you're not doing any more research, you are not able to determine the changes in the needs or taste. Remember, at the beginning, I said that it is not just about identifying the needs. You also need to anticipate the needs. Okay, so how fast do consumer needs or taste change within the market? If you're going to do research, then it means that you even have to look at the 5-year trend. If there is trade statistics or some statistics available on consumption or importation or whatever, look at the 5-year trend, and that will give you a sense of this. And it will also guide you on the research that you need to do going forward. What is the price elasticity of products within the markets? Very, very important. There are some product categories that small businesses get into, and you know, you increase the product by 5 cedis and everybody is gone. You've just lost everybody. You know, coming back or getting the consumers to come back becomes an issue. I've had clients who have complained about this particular issue to me, especially with respect to fast-moving consumer goods, biscuits, and you know, all those things that small things that we eat. There are some of them you increase by just 5 cedis, 10 cedis, and you've lost all your consumers. So that decision to take the product up is not one that you make, you know, lightly. It has to be backed by research. Do consumer preferences differ across geographic locations within the same market? I mean, I have done research across a number of regions in this. And I can tell you that categorically that for some product segments, Kumasi is very different from Accra. So you do a usage and attitude study, or you do a brand study. There's a preferred brand in Kumasi that is different from the brand that is preferred in Accra. You see what I mean? So just assuming that, oh, this is Ghana, I can take this to Kumasi and let's go and, you know, start selling. It's a very erroneous idea. And these research questions have to be in your brief, or it has to become the basis for, you know, certain other research questions in your brief. I can go on and on and on and on. There are a number of them. What are the brand drivers within this market? What are the product characteristics that matter within this market? And so on and so forth. Now, somebody talked about desk research. Yes, these days I'm a very happy man. The data that is available to us now as researchers is now more than used to be the case some 40 years ago, when I started MSR, you know. So yes, in most cases, we are able to actually do quite a bit of desk research. You know, likewise, if you're starting a business, it has to be your starting point, because obviously it's cheaper and you can do quite a bit yourself. Now, when it comes to business and sales intelligence, you can use CRM, you can use mystery shopping. Okay, that one is still a bit of primary research, you know. But for sales intelligence, your own CRM tools or your own in-house data, if you're, for example, been selling products to households using delivery companies and all that, you know, you have quite a bit of data that you can work with. I'll come to that later on, actually. You know, the business environment. Now, the Bank of Ghana puts out quite a bit of information on the business environment. The Ministry of Finance also puts out quite a bit. If you want independent data, there are sites like Trading Economics, okay, that give indicators on Ghana for, they also do forecasts. So if the investor you are talking to is pushing you for forecast and you don't know how to do the forecast, remember some of these sites, websites can actually do the forecast for you. Okay, so Forex, interest rates, inflation rates, and so on and so forth. Trading Economics has quite a bit. Okay, then sector and market studies. If you are running a small business and you've not been to the GIPC website, I encourage you to do so. Because of the work that they are doing, trying to get foreign direct investments into Ghana, they are doing a lot of sector studies, agro-processing, mining, you know, they are doing quite a bit of sector studies. So for all you know, your sector may be represented, you know, so have a look at their website. And then, of course, the various ministries. Some ministries deal with your particular sector, so you can get some statistics from them. The World Bank is putting quite a bit of pressure, and other development partners actually are putting quite a bit of pressure on governments to have data available, you know, for a number of things. Sometimes they fund, you know, the data collected by the ministries. So you realize that now some of these ministries have quite a bit of data on their website. What I've put here, for example, is that for the Food and Agriculture Ministry, you know, they have a report that is a bit dated. Agric Facts 2018 is a bit dated, but when you take some of the reports, you were able to, you know, see other places where you can get more current data. The FA, ironically, the FAO has a lot more current data on our Greek sector than even the ministry. So, yeah, there are places you can get some data. Now, trade analysis is very important for those of you who are importing and want to export. You want to get a sense of the export figures, the import figures, and do an analysis there, you know. So for example, if you are into sanitary pads, you want to see the volume of sanitary pads imported into Ghana over the past 5 years. The Ghana Statistical Service now has a portal that would allow you to look at that 5-year trend. Okay, all right. Of course, demographic data. Okay, so the good thing for a lot of us is that now the census data is very current, 2021, you know, so the number of young people, number of young educated people who have mobile phones, number of young educated people who have this, you can actually get that kind of data from the Ghana Statistical Service, you know. So what it does is it's even able to give you the universe of your markets, the total size of your market, as to whether within that market there are people who have a need for your type of this. that is where the primary research will come in. Okay. Now, the businesses that are playing in your area, what we call the market players, the Ghana Statistical Service also did a census of businesses, I think around 2014. It's planning to do another one very soon. That is called the Integrated Business Environment Study, Businesses and Enterprise Study, I think, IBIS, the IBIS is saying. What they did was an actual census of all businesses in Ghana at the time, so that's very comprehensive. The data will be a bit dated now because it's 9 years since they, but at least it serves as a proxy. Okay. Now, depending on the type of product that you are into, you may also want to go to the FDA website, because you see, the FDA is the agency that is now approving, because it approves the quality of the products. Any product that will be currently be on the market, that will be a competition to yours, but needs to be approved by the FDA. There's a list of those products on the FDA website. So that becomes like a more current data source. Okay. So if, for example, you want to do some type of cosmetics, you have to realize that the FDA will have a list of registered products under cosmetics on their website, and you can follow up. So with the 2 points that I've made earlier, the desk research and then the asking the research questions and all that, this is a format that you can follow. Very simple format. You try not to be academic. This is business research. Try not to get too academic with the way you do it. Otherwise, you will end up wasting quite a bit of time. And then remember that in terms of even the output, because your target audience for the research wants very concise information, you always need to be straight to the point, okay? So when it comes to the why, you talk about the background, the purpose of the study, the history description of product and target markets. The history description of the product and target market is what I've treated earlier. It is very, very important because it sets the scope of work. If you set a limited context for the research, the questionnaire that you develop would also be limited. The data you will get will be limited. The insights you'll get will be limited. And the investors will not find enough value from your research. Okay? So scoping it up in that section is very important. Then the objectives of the study, your primary research questions, I've just treated it. Then the scope of work required. Then how, suggestions on methodology. This is necessary if you want to engage your small business, but you want to engage an agency or a consultant to help you with the research. If you have an idea of methodology, that is good. If not, let the consultants say clearly the methodology that they are going to use. So remember when we got here, I said that when you are talking about the core benefits, it has to be an exploratory study. At least from some of these sessions what should be qualitative and what should be quantitative. As you build on you put on the layer of the products, then you start having more of the quantitative coming in. If you want to get a sense of the size of your market, it's quantitative research. So if the consultant is taking you in a different direction, at least you have some basic knowledge to push back and say, okay, why not? Sorry, is there a question? Okay. All right.
There's a question. So someone is asking that he's a student and he wants to go into vegetable farming and wants to know if he's eligible to write for a grant in order to start his business. And he wants to know if you actually provide guide for grant writing. I'm not sure it's very related to this, but could you help us address that?
Oh, I mean, if there is a grant, I don't know whether grant is the right word. I think fund. It means a fund. If there's a fund available for small businesses, but they want you to write or to do a pitch for it, why not? I mean, for us, like I keep saying, we want, as part of our own CSR, we want the small businesses to really, adopt research in their decision making. So if, for example, you have been able to do a little write-up, if you have been able to do a little write-up, your business plan, done some research, whatever, feel free to reach out to me. Olivia, I'll leave my number. Feel free to reach out to me and say, Isaac, can you help tighten tighten some of the loose bolts on this pitch for me? And we'll do it I'll do it pro bono. Okay. If you are able to do an initial write-up, okay, and all you want is an expert's comment on whether it's complete or whatever, please feel free to reach out to me. Okay. Abubakar, are you there? Hello, Abubakar.
Abubakar, are you there? Okay, kindly get close up your phone so we can hear your voice.
Okay, it's fine. I mean, let's go on. Let's go on. Yeah. Are there any more questions? All right. Okay. Now let's look at some innovative methods in market research that some small businesses can use, especially if you do not have the means to what do you call it? Hire a research agency to do the research for you. Okay. All right. So there's this technique we call social listening. And basically what it does is, like, if, for example, you are actively promoting your product on social media handles, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, okay, what it does is it can give you some insights on your category, and then the brands that are being mentioned in your category. It can also give you insights on your own brand, the positive and negative things that people are saying about your brand online. You can get all this feedback yourself just by, for example, signing up to an application called Brand24. There are other social listening websites out there, Hootsuite and all that. So you're able to get a lot of feedback on your product, at least from an online audience. So this is very good for those who are pushing their products via social media. So I don't know, is there anybody here who has tried social listening before?
I'm sorry, sir, could you repeat yourself?
Okay, nobody. All right. Then user experience research. I mentioned that briefly. In other markets, there's a lot going on when it comes to user experience. Okay. Please, Olivia, just give me 10 seconds, okay? Just give me 10 seconds.
Sure.
Okay, hold on.
So while it's doing what it's doing, we've not asked a lot of questions today, and I think it's very important we ask the questions that are probably brimming in our hearts and our minds, and we thought of, because I'm sure a lot of us have thought of businesses and how we can, and the thing with starting something like a business is that a lot of people are overthinkers and they don't do as much. And the reason is they have lots of questions. And that's why we brought this session to you so I can ask those questions that stop you from taking the next step, because you want to take the next step, but these questions keep you away from doing that. And so I'm still in the chat checking for any new questions. So is there any questions on the research methodology so far? Okay, so if any of us have maybe been able to actually start a business, I'm going to check the participants list. I want us to just put a thumbs up. If you've never started a business before, don't put a thumbs up. Maybe it could help us. I could get some people to direct questions to. Since you're not asking questions, so I can ask.
Yeah.
Mr. Guma,
But I'm back, yeah. Yes, I'm back.
Yeah,
I had to get some water.
oh, okay. That's
Yeah. Yes, but your question is very valid. Do you have people on here who at some point attempted, running businesses and it didn't work? Do you want to share your experience with us? We have a very shy audience, don't we?
okay, so I can share my story.
Okay, please do.
My story was a very short business. I learned amateur baking during the COVID-19. So I said, oh, let me start. Oh, Abu Bakar. You know what? Let's give Abu Bakar priority. Abu Bakar,
Okay.
please. The audience is ready to listen to your story. Unmute and ask your question or share your story.
Please, are you hearing me?
Yeah, your volume is a bit low, but you can't speak.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I started delivery business, which is services. And I think I'm still into it, but it doesn't grow. So this is my little experience I've been holding, and I'm still touching to see where the problem is actually from. Because I'm the only one running the business. I'm not seeing any group in me. Yeah, I don't see where the problem is coming from. And I'm still checking to see whether it's myself or it's how I do my business that it's not growing.
Oh, Abu Bakar, I'm really interested in this story, but your volume and your audio seems to be very low and muffled as well.
Yeah,
are you using a headset?
Oh, yes.
I think it's getting better now.
I said I've started a delivery services, which when someone buys something, I'll take the thing to the person's destination, go to these restaurants and then pick up food. Maybe when someone orders food, I'll go and then run these services, and I'm the only one doing the business. But I'm still checking to see where the problem is. For a year now, the business is not growing, and I've not been able to identify where the problem is from because I think the business should have grew by now. That's a year now. I think it should have been more than how it is. I'm not seeing any improvement in my business. So I'm seeing it to be a problem, and I'm still checking. I'm not getting where the problem is coming from.
Yes, Abu Bakar, let's look at the description of your business in some detail, okay? Did you say you are the only person doing the delivery?
Yes, I'm the only person.
You are the only person, okay. Now,
Yes.
you take the delivery from which type of companies?
Okay, food vendors, and I fill cylinders too. Those who are who wants to fill their cylinders. I've made my flyer available to people around. So when someone needs such a services, they'll call me to offer that services to them.
So the cylinder, you use a motor or you use a bigger car?
Yeah, motorbike that I use.
To do the cylinder one? For
Yes,
the cylinder, you use a motorbike?
Yes, sir. Because it's individual based. So if someone just call me, I have to just pick the cylinder, go and install it and bring it to the person. And if it's food too, the person will just tell you, this is the place I'm ordering the food. Now you just go there and then pick up the food to the person's destination.
Okay, so food vendors, filling of cylinders, and then what else? What else do you do?
Okay.
Or those are the only two?
All right. That's just the major things I do. But like, if the person wants me to pick the person from one place to another to give that out, which is more or less like that service.
Okay. All right. The line is a bit bad, but let's go on. Now, let me ask you, the service that you deliver, how different is it from Glovo? Or better still, how better?
Is it from?
Sorry?
I didn't get you, sir.
Yes, I'm asking you, how better is your
program? How different is it
from Glovo, from what Glovo is doing?
Logo. I don't even know them.
You don't know Glovo, eh? You said you don't know Glovo.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, then I think I know your problem. So who is your competition? Who do you think is your competition? You say in Tamale?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You say, okay, good, okay. See, that's good information. All right, so location is Tamale. All right. But let me ask you a question though. If you are the only person who is doing it, and nobody else is, supporting and all that, then where were you expecting the growth to come from? Or is it that you don't get the frequency that you used to have? Is that the case?
I think that one too might be one of the calls, because when they call you, like, and they don't get you like in that particular time, sure, it's raising my mind to something like that. I'm sure it's also one of the things that may have causing my retarding my growth.
Okay, because the line is bad. Because the line is bad. I mean, is there anybody on the call who thinks he or she has an idea about Abubakar's problem? I want us to do the analysis together so that the session is interactive. Yes, Barnabas, go ahead.
Hello, Mr. Isaac. Thank you very much. My name is Barnabas.
Yes.
I think I've known MSR for some time, but I never knew you were the man behind it.
Oh, okay.
I'm also in the same field. I conduct market research, but my focus is mainly on field data gathering. So I help firms like yours and others to do the field work. So basically, I have voice across the country. So for me, just listening to him, I remember when I also started, I was doing a lot of things on my own.
Yeah.
I was doing, I spent almost like a year or two kind of doing almost everything, thinking that I know it all. And I was also in the same shoes where there was no way you can expand. And when I started looking at how to expand by not necessarily focusing on myself, but then also building the capacity of others to deliver the same thing that I'm doing and doing it better, I was able to expand. So for me, I think market is one of his challenge. He has to be able to understand the marketing which he is. Does he have a lot of orders? That is one. How is he reaching the people? Is it through flyers? Because he indicated that he had flyers. We have used that before. Sometimes when you send flyer, it takes a long time for people to get to even know your service, or maybe once a while. But like, what is the coverage? How many people are seeing that he's having that service? That is one. And then also the capacity. I mean, if someone calls you and you're not able to deliver on time, the next time they will not call you. I mean, it's like, I mean, you are not even existent. So how are you able to serve your clients promptly so that they will know that, okay, I have a reliable person I can always call for my gas or call for my food? Because you're talking about food. If I'm hungry and I call and nobody picks, the next time that I will not even call.
That's
so
right.
Those are the three key things that I observe. And I think I really like your session. I've been listening.
Okay.
Quite a lot of, so thank you.
Excellent, excellent, Barnabas.
Isaac,
Yes.
Isaac, can I
Yes,
add something?
yes, Danny, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I think listening to him, I think this is a very passionate young man who probably just wants to do something to get something on the table, like just to, that kind of thing. So he has not actually sat down to look at strategic direction.
That's right.
This is where I'm going. And so that you to focus to know how. So you see that there's no plan, there's no room for expansion in the way he's going about things. He doesn't even know who are in the industry with him and things like that, to be able to see how those who are bigger than him, how they have started and how they are operating. So you see that now satisfying customers is very bad, because very soon a lot of people can call him and he won't be, he can pick, but he won't be able to deliver.
The question is, so that the days that he is even sick, what happens?
So how are you going to deliver to them? And people will get offended. They will not take you seriously, and that will just be all. After struggling to find your footing to get customers, you lose all of them and the business will ground. So basically, I think that is, so he needs to sit down and look at, he needs help to think that what he's doing is not a joke. It's not a joke. He's just doing thinking that what I can get today to feed myself and all that. I think, and that is the problem.
All right. So Abubakar, let's bring it to research, which of course is why we are doing this. So for a young man like you, obviously you don't have the resources to do some major research. What can you do to get a sense of the demand in your catchment area, and then how can you exploit that demand? First thing, obviously, is that you need to go around a few of these vendors, not necessarily those who have called you up yet, but all of them. First, check what are their current delivery options, because for all you know, some of them have even begun exploring the idea of having their own motors and stuff like that. Even if they don't, they've already entered into agreements and partnerships with other, So if you realize that there's quite a bit of that, then you need to have a very clear proposition, okay? Something that makes you stand out. I, for example, my pet peeve with the delivery guys is that, you give the company the GPS of where you are, then these motor guys will call you at every turn they want you to direct them. So if, for example, you do the research with the, what do you call it? The food vendors, the whatever, and they say that, one of the major challenges is that the people do not have the time to direct the lesson, and then the motor riders don't know how to use GPS. Then the GPS, you being able to use GPS to go to the food vendor or to deliver to the consumer becomes the proposition. So you test this proposition with the people and see if it is something that puts you ahead, and then you move on with that. In terms of scaling up and growing up, as for that one, I have to be very honest with you. Having this what I call subsistence entrepreneurship. Subsistence entrepreneurship is when you are doing something to feed yourself for the day. That one, it won't help you to grow, because every money you make in a day or a week will go to your expenses. But when you have been able to rally around a group of like-minded people, and you have about 5, one person is sick, another person steps in and all that, that is where the growth bits too will come in, you know. And here for you to go and talk to a local motor seller and ask for credits and all that, you should be able to size up the demand, because you don't want to go and take the motor on credits, 2 additional motors on credits, for example, and then not meet the demand. So here research comes in. You know, you go and you go to the various outlets and see who is open to work with you. And that can give you a sense of the prospects. Okay. All right. Somebody else had their hand up. Somebody else wanted to share something.
T1_ Daniel
Yes,
Mensah.
there's Daniel Mensah Jr. Yes, I think I know him. Yes, Danny, go ahead. Daniel Mensah.
Yeah, hi. I think you have already touched what I wanted to contribute to. It was basically about he understanding the consumer behavior of the environment where he wants to serve, and then he understanding the purchasing power of the consumers too as well. Because you may think that there will be people that are willing to access all the time, but then you have to factor in their purchasing power. Do they have that income to be able to afford that luxury of you going to fill their gas and pick up their food all the time? It's something you have to do the analysis as well. So I just wanted to contribute to that, sir.
Fantastic point. Fantastic point. It's like somebody who at some point had this great idea about a particular tuber product, and the person wanted to do that tuber product package, sliced and packaged, okay, and was like, oh, the convenience alone is something that should lead to demand. Only for the person to go ahead, do it, package it, and whatever, and it goes around, and even hotels are saying that, oh, we have somebody who can, peel off the tuber and cut this in. So we don't want to pay an extra for the convenience of, the packaged products. We will just let that person peel and then slice the tuber for us, for our guests. See the issue. This is something that, in fact, when the person even told me, I was like, oh yeah, for someone like me, or even for people who are living alone, the fact that you don't have to buy it and, peel and slice and whatever, but then you come up with it and people are like, oh, the house helps will do this. I won't pay if like 3 tubers is 50 cedis, okay? And your package has the volume of 2 tubers, and yet it's 55 cedis. I won't buy it. I'll rather go and buy the tubers and let my house help, And you may have already invested in the, what do you call it? Equipment to cut and all those things. So yes, I mean, this is not to you directly, Abubakar, it's to all the other SMEs representing. How sometimes we underestimate, the consumer issues, and then how sometimes we overestimate demand because we haven't done research. All right. Abubakar, are you there? All right, I have a few more slides to go, so let me quickly go through, and then we'll just have the session for question and answers. Okay, so this is something we did for one of our clients last year. In a sense, they are also a small business. Now, they wanted to do telemedicine. So basically, you are able to book an appointment with a doctor, then the doctor would, liaise with you on, sorry?
Thank you very much.
You are welcome. You are welcome. Thank you. You're welcome. So the business owner wanted to test an app where you can just, instead of walking to a hospital and then, engaging a doctor or whatever, it's something that is a little bit cheaper. You do the consultation, whatever. If it's something that requires, the doctor feels that it requires you coming, they will do that. But if it's also something that they can easily diagnose on the phone, using the app, then you don't need to come to the hospital. So when they came to see us, we did what we call user experience research. So basically, we take the app from end to end, right from when the consumer downloads the app to when they get off the call with the doctor, blah, 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 have taken their prescription, etc., and even to follow up, the follow-up from the doctors and all those things. We test everything in a quantitative research. So on a scale of 1 to 5, where 1 is very dissatisfied and 5 is very satisfied, how would you rate, etc., etc.? Downloading the app, the size of the download, installation of the app, how easy it was, registration and onboarding process, information access. Was the information enough? Did it cover enough topics? The ease of navigation around the app, the appeal of the design that makes you want to explore other aspects of the app, the value proposition, the customer service, the booking of appointments. A doctor will come on and the doctor will be talking, some way. That's customer service. Booking of appointments, speed of service. So we went through all this and we're evaluating, I think, with a total of 200 consumers. When you use such a good sample size, anything that comes from the research is a big guide to you on whether you should go ahead or not. In fact, one of the things that we did was, because there were other apps in the markets, we made the consumers compare. Compared to. So they'll do the evaluation for one app, then they'll do another evaluation for another app, and then we'll ask them to do a first preference based on the overall satisfaction. So this is something that the entrepreneurs can do on their own. Now, the researchers who are also on this call, you can take a cluster of small businesses in a particular industry, like let's say you are in Tamale, whatever, you are a business expert there. You take all the businesses that are doing tech stuff there in a particular area. And then you can do the user experience research and come up with generic insights and then sell the findings to the players within that market, okay? So then it is very cheap. If the total cost of the research was, let's say, 10,000 cedis, and there are about 6 players in that particular catchment area prepared to pay 3,000, you end up getting 18,000. So they have paid way less than the cost of the research, but you have ended up making a profit of, what was it? Is it 8,000? As a researcher. You see what I mean? So this goes to both sides of the audience today. If you're a researcher, you can begin to come up with these innovative research products that you can do for SMEs. If you're an SME, you can work with an individual consultant. If you don't have the means to bring in a market research agency, you can work with an individual research consultant and you do the user experience. Now, there's something we call location intelligence that is really underplayed in Ghana. Okay, I saw a bit of this with a bigger company that I did research for, but it applies to all the small companies that are using delivery, what do you call it? Just like Abubakar, delivery companies, delivery people, and all those things. Okay, basically, what is it? When people make an order from you, if you're using online channels, and people make an order from you and you have to deliver. You understand? Be very focused on getting the GPS. You know, don't just pass the customer, oh, we have a delivery guy, I'll give you his number to you. That is what everybody is doing. And the data that they can get from managing the process, because you see, once you take the GPS of the customer and the delivery guys go and deliver to them, you are able to even now use Excel, just normal Excel. You don't even need a special software. You can use Excel to then map out all the places where, you know, what do you call it? Your order is coming from. Okay. So let's say there's a company called Watcgh. It starts from cantonments. Then it is tracking all the people who are ordering the Watcgh and where the Watcgh is being delivered to. What do you think that information can be used for? Very obvious. The next time you want to set up a small branch somewhere, you can just look at that map, the heat map you have created with the data that you have collected, and say that, look, so many people, there's so many people ordering from there. There's a cluster on the map. So Hacho, I need to go and put a shop there so that when they make the order, instead of me delivering from cantonments and adding on the cost of the plate of Watcgh, now the order is coming from very close to them, Hacho. So the 15 cedis delivery charge now becomes 5 cedis. What you do then is that you are growing the number of people who are buying from you in Hacho. At the same time, you are preventing competitors in Hacho from taking your business away. See, so somebody asked me earlier, you know, is it not expensive? It's because, you know, they have the small businesses have not opened their minds to some of these innovative methods of collecting data. And here too, the researchers on the call, you can actually work with the companies. If they don't have the means to collect the data, you can work with them to collect a heat map of where food is being delivered to, where cylinders are being delivered to, and all that. Then you call the small business and say, look, I have the data. You know, it cost me 10,000 Ghana cedis. But for the small businesses, I just want you to pay 2,000 because I think I can get 10 businesses who can buy my data. You know, so 2,000, 2,000, 2,000, you also make your profits. Okay. So location, if you can use it for your branch network, you can also use it to identify consumer segments. You can also use it for sales prospecting, because as your delivery guys are going there, whatever, they say, tell your salespeople, Charlie, we are getting quite a bit of demand from Hacho. Can you go to the Hacho area? And, you know, they like our product. So the salespeople then go onto the field and identify other people who are not ordering from you yet. Then, of course, delivery logistics. You know, so it's not just about setting up the branch at Hacho. Then you know that, look, I need two other motors. If I am not the one handling the delivery logistics and I'm using partners, I need to get a partner whose office is at Hacho. You understand? So that they work with my outlet at Hacho to deliver to people in Hacho. So the location intelligence data then helps you with delivery logistics. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a long day. We can't cover everything. At some point, fatigue will set in. So let me end here. I hope that as a teaser, I've been able to do quite a bit of listen, and we can take this up at that time. Let me open the floor now for general questions, and then we can wrap up. Olivia, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Goma. It's actually been a very informative session. I was really, impressed with the wealth of knowledge, and I know that we're just scratching the surface. So I can't wait to get access to the slides, and I'll probably reach out to you about my personal business ideas. in the future. I would like everybody to take advantage of this to ask questions. Any kind of questions relating to business research, starting a business. I think this is a great opportunity to ask questions. So one of the things that I really loved about this session was when you mentioned that it's possible that suppliers could even become competitors. And that's something I've experienced. Started a business, I ended up, my supplier became my competitor. And I ended up losing my business because she actually had more assets than I did. And, so it's one of the things that I really think we should pay attention to. For example, actually, I have a question.
Okay.
Why is it that Close-Up? So Close-Up is a brand, like a big brand in Nigeria, but for some reason, Close-Up cannot stand competition in Ghana. I once did a marketing activation for Close-Up. We went to the whole of Accra, giving free Close-Up. There was no impact at the end of the day. Why is it that it cannot stand against Pepsodent in Ghana? What do you think was unique in the branding that caused it to, let's say, flop in Ghana compared to Pepsodent?
Let me even ask you a question straight up. In Ghana, how do people call toothpaste?
Hello?
Oh, yes, hello. Okay, then that right there might be an answer to your question.
Hello.
Yes, hello. Go on.
Yeah, I'm Efuakwa. I think that I want to help the young lady on the Close-Up Pepsodent, brand positioning.
Okay.
Nigeria is a gels market, and Ghana we are paste market.
Okay.
And so because of that, it's difficult for Close-Up to penetrate. Maybe you can reach out to me. I'm Efuakwa on LinkedIn. I was a category manager for skin cleansing skincare for Unilever. I know the reason why I'm saying that.
Okay, so you have a bit of info on it. Yeah.
It's difficult for the gel market to work in Ghana. Ghana is basically the chalk kind of paste market. So you need to do a lot of work, and also there's the import of some Close-Up from Nigeria into our market, and their price points versus their grammage is also not helping. So you have some people go to Nigeria to export some things and then bring some Close-Up into Ghana to sell at a cheaper price. So depending on how the Naira is playing on the CD, there's Close-Up in the market, but it's actually not from Ghana. They have a one. So there are lots of dynamics with the Close-Up Pepsodent brand positioning that maybe with a little of market insight and research, like the reason why we are here, you'll be able to understand.
Excellent. So right there is a research issue that for such a big brand, not even understanding the market play before coming in. But you see, from my experience too, there's one thing I've realized about the FMCG market here in Ghana. The consumers are not sophisticated, okay? In marketing and in strategy, when we say a consumer is not sophisticated, it does not have the same meaning as the literal meaning of sophistication. What it means is the consumer is not very read up, does not have a lot of information about the category. And then they also do not have a lot of information about the brands competing within the category or the segment. That is what we mean by the consumers are not sophisticated. Now, when you have a market like that, it can be very good for new entrants and usually small businesses, okay? Because when the consumers are not sophisticated, they tend to switch easily. So, for example, if you ask somebody, what was it Efia Akwa just said? Yes, she came at it from a technical angle. One is paste, one is gel. Can you believe me, even me, I have not taken notice. I know I have used close up at some point. I have not even taken notice of that difference in paste and gel. You understand? I don't use, both are not my favorites. I have a favorite one that is a bit different from the two, okay? But sometimes when you have to buy it for other people or something, yes, you play around with it. But I wasn't even aware of that difference, okay? And there's a lot of that in Ghana. I know it because when I stayed when I was in the UK studying, I realized that in the UK, when people are going out to buy even small, very small products, they are very clear in their minds what they are going to buy. And they don't switch across brands so easily like we do here in Ghana. I remember when I started MSR, my research company, we did something for some research for an alcoholic beverage company, okay? Now, we wanted to explore this concept that I'm just talking about, the lack of sophistication among the local consumers. So we got two groups of consumers in focus groups. One group was people who had relocated from UK, US, or had come to Ghana for a short period. And then another group were those who had never traveled. Now, when the experts, if I can call it that, the expert group, you ask them about vodka, for example, the way they would describe the vodka, why they like their vodka and all that, the detail that they would give, I want a triple distilled, blah, 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 it was very different from the Ghanaians. Now, there was also something else that we noticed. When the Ghanaian consumer, when you ask the person, if this vodka is not around, this vodka brand is not around, what product would you go for? Instead of selecting another vodka brand or another brand within the vodka segments, they go and take a local, this and like, oh, I'll go for Casapreco this, I'll go for this. Sometimes they even go into another category as a replacement if they don't get it at their bar or at the pub, you see. So this insight is something that is very useful for SMEs, okay? But it's the same thing too that can work against you, because when you come into the market, and you're also doing well, it's the same way a new entrant would be able to also come and take your consumers away, because, so what does it mean? It means that when you are running a small business, and especially you're doing well with your social media handles, take it upon yourself to educate your consumers on the category. You understand? So let people understand the intricacies of your category, that maybe what they are buying from you, how different it is from other, not necessarily that the other products are bad, no, but the distinction, that, for example, a candy is a type of confectionery. A candy is different from this other confectionery because of this and that and that. You usually take a candy when you want to have an energy boost because of the sugar in it. You want to have an energy boost, blah, 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 So you use your social media posts to, once the consumers, your target group becomes knowledgeable, we say that they have become sophisticated. And you realize that then the loyalty to your products it may not be to the brand per se, it may be to that particular product that you are putting out, will be better. Thank you very much. But thank you very much. I'll reach out to you as well.
Kindly, I think someone just raised up their hand.
Okay.
Raphael?
But Barnabas too has raised the hand, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Barnabas, go ahead.
Oh, okay, thank you very much. For me, I wanted to ask a little bit about your methodology and how it's applicable to digital products.
Okay.
Now there are quite a lot of businesses that are going digital, fully digital, and which also opens them up not only to Ghanaian countries, but then also to the global market. So I wanted to look at which are the best methodologies that you you apply. For instance, if someone wants to launch a blog, what kind of methodologies should you adopt to be able to help them understand their target market and to be able to kind of make impact? That's one of the things I was looking at to share. But I'm really very happy connecting with you. Maybe I'll share you some introductory email. Maybe you can also,
yes,
let
me drop
if you get
my,
to know, a little bit. I'm already sending you an introductory email. So
let me drop
I'm sure
my,
we can
this in the chat room, my email.
That would be nice. Okay.
So you can all reach out to me. Yeah. And then, but I think I've said it a couple of times during the presentation that methodology is really like, it's very specific to a number of things. I mentioned, for example, product life cycle. Where you are will determine the type of research and will determine the methodology. I've also mentioned that if you're looking at your entire value proposition, the aspect of the value proposition that you want to look at is what will inform the methodology. So, for example, if you want to check that there is really a need for the main functionality of your tech products, you would want to do qualitative research, okay? You would want to do focus groups and all that, and then explore whatever the problem is, explore the dimensions of the problem or of the consumer need, okay? Then as you build on the value proposition, you take it to the actual product, you introduce a bit of quantitative research, okay? Also, as you add to the layer of the value proposition, you have to test some of the ideas with the consumer, okay? This is where a lot of even more experienced researchers commit blunders, okay? We say that although business ideas should be powered by consumer needs, customer needs, you have to always realize that the consumer is not a marketer. The consumer is not a lab technician, and the consumer is not a manufacturer. So they have the need, but as to what the final product should be that satisfies the need, that one, it is the tech person, the technology person, the innovator who has to put it together. And when you put it together, you now come and test it with them, okay? And the testing would usually be in a quantitative form, just like the telemedicine proposition I showed you on the call. Are my slides still on or they are gone off?
Your slides are still on, please. We are on case study, telemedicine.
Good. All right. So you see this particular one like this, the original need, the core benefits would have been people maybe in remote areas who at some point will not have a ready access to a health facility, but can reach out to a doctor. That will be the core need, right? But in terms of the final application that will now be delivered to the consumer to use, you have to develop it. And then you come to us as an agency and we test it for you like the way we have done. See the number of things. If the person had just gone to markets, didn't do any research, and the app is struggling, for example, you won't even know which of these dimensions here is causing the problem. You won't, because you haven't done any research, okay? So the research would determine how important each of these parameters on the screen is, and then would also determine the satisfaction that the consumer has had with the app based on these parameters. I hope Barnabas answers your question.
Yes, I think it's made it more clear. Thank you very much. Yeah. But I'll try to reach out to you. I'm sure you can share some ideas. Thank you.
Fantastic.
If there are no more questions, I think this is the end of the session today. That is if there are no more questions. It's been a very great session, and I love the questions that came up. Although they came late, I wish there were more questions, but we'll be having more sessions like this. And as I've already shared Mr. Juma's email address here, and I'm hoping that you can drop your LinkedIn account and you can just link up with each other, because I noticed a lot of us are into research, some of us are into businesses, and it's just a great opportunity to connect and exchange great ideas. We want to thank Mr. Juma so much for the time he shared with us. It was really clear, it was easy to understand, and it was really a great experience. And we'll be having the next session next week, about the same time. Next week, we'll be sharing information about that to you in the course of the week. So now it's time for us to take a photo, a screenshot photo. So I would like everybody to what's the word for it? To let us see their faces. To take off your stop covering your cameras and just undo the closing your camera so that we can see each other's faces and just take a quick photo, and we'll be out of here. So I'm starting with myself.
Yeah.
Olivia, sorry, I won't be able to show my face based on where I am. Sorry.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
So watch my picture. Watch my picture.
Okay, but I'm
sorry
waiting
about
for
that.
everybody else.
Yeah,
I hope they can see
commuting.
me.
We are commuting, so it'll be difficult.
Okay, so if it's not, you're not commuting, you're just sitting down like I am, please kindly, let us see your faces so that we can quickly take a photo for the social media team. And maybe we could stop sharing the screen so that the screen could be flooded with everybody.
Yeah, let me.
Yeah. Thank you. Hey, I'm not seeing lots of all the faces, so I'm not seeing Irene, Ifwa, Startup, Campus, Ruth. Hey, only one person apart from Mr. Guma. Please, David, Enoch, Irene, John, let's show our faces for a quick group photo, and then we can be out of here quickly. Time is already spent. David Yeboah. Okay, so I think we should just make do with all we have. Media team, are you done? Okay, media team, Nimat. Okay, yes, more faces are coming up. Okay, that's good. Okay, Mr. Yan said he can join us, so every other face is appreciated. So media team, let us know when you're done so we can close. Hello, Nimat, we can't hear you.
Okay, you still can't hear me.
Okay, we can hear you now.
Okay, Please, I said we are done. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Isaac, for knowledge sharing. Thank you very much.
Thank you too. Thank you for having me.
Oh, great.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much, everyone. Isaac, we'll talk after the call.
Definitely.
Olivia,
definitely.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nyanyan. So we'll be seeing each other in the next session next week, Monday. You hear from us soon. I'll send you the site too. And thank you again, Mr. Juman. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, everybody. And bye-bye.
Bye-bye.